Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am so excited for today's guest. He's a man whose voice and smile feel like a warm hug from a simpler time. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
I'm Andy Griffith. Most folks probably know me best as a sheriff from a little place called Mayberry, or maybe as a silver-haired lawyer named Matlock. But at heart, I've always just been a fellow from North Carolina who loved a good story and a catchy tune.
We are honoured to have you, Andy. Let's go back to the roots. When and where were you born?
I was born on June 1st, 1926, right in the town of Mount Airy, North Carolina.
What was your given name at birth?
My parents named me Andrew Samuel Griffith.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
I was an only child, and my parents, Carl and Geneva, just wanted a strong, simple name for me. Though I went by Andy pretty much from the time I could crawl.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Mount Airy was a wonderful place, though we didn't have much. It was a small community where everyone knew your business, for better or worse. It was the kind of place where you'd hear the sound of the sawmill and folks chatting on their porches. It served as a big inspiration for a lot of the stories I eventually told on television.
What was your family life like?
We were very poor. For the first few years of my life, we didn't even have a home of our own. We lived with relatives. My daddy worked hard in the furniture factories and sawmills. We eventually got a little place on Rockford Street. It was humble, but there was a lot of love and a lot of music.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a bit shy and quite sensitive, to tell you the truth. I wasn't much for sports. I was a bit clumsy. I found my place in the church and through music. I used to spend a lot of time listening to the older folks tell stories, just soaking up the way they talked and the rhythm of their voices.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I think my biggest fear was just not fitting in. Being a shy kid who wasn't into athletics in a small town can make you feel a bit like a fish out of water. I worried about what I was going to do with myself once I grew up.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
For a long time, I wanted to be an opera singer. I loved the power of the voice. Later on, I thought I might become a Moravian preacher because I was so active in the church music program. I just knew I wanted to do something that involved performing and connecting with people.
What were some of your favourite activities in school?
Oh, it was all about the arts for me. I loved the school band and the drama club. I played the trombone and the E-flat alto horn. I actually had a teacher, Jerry Shelburne, who really encouraged my interest in music and performing. That changed everything.
What was your first job?
Aside from helping out at home, my first real professional gig was as a high school music and drama teacher. I taught at Goldsboro High School for a few years after I graduated from the University of North Carolina.
Was there a moment where you realised you were different from everyone else?
It was probably when I realized I could make people laugh just by talking. I started doing these monologues, like what it was football, where I'd play a country fellow trying to describe things he didn't understand. Seeing a whole room full of people light up because of a story I told, that was the moment I knew I had something special.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Deciding to perform that what it was football monologue at a convention in 1953. I didn't think much of it, but a record producer heard it, and before I knew it, it was a hit across the country. That one story opened the door to New York and Hollywood.
What was your biggest break?
It would have to be the Broadway play No Time for Sergeants. I played Will Stockdale, a country boy drafted into the Air Force. It was a huge success, led to a movie, and really established my persona in the eyes of the public.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Mostly just trying to find my footing. Moving from North Carolina to New York was a massive shock. I felt like a country bumpkin in the big city, and there were times I wondered if I'd ever really make it as a professional actor.
Did you ever consider quitting?
There were discouraged moments, certainly, especially when some of my early television guest spots didn't go as planned. But I had a deep drive to perform. I don't think I could have ever truly quit. It was just in my blood.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I was very big on preparation, whether it was a TV script or a song. I wanted to know it backward and forward. On the set of the Andy Griffith show, we would spend hours on Thursdays just sitting around a table, rewriting the script until the dialogue felt natural and the comedy was just right.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I likely would have stayed a teacher. I truly enjoyed working with the students and seeing them find their own voices through music and theater.
What was your life like before fame?
It was quiet. I was a family man, living in North Carolina, teaching school, and performing at local events. It was a good life, just a much smaller one.
How did relationships change after success?
It can be tricky. You have to be careful about who is truly your friend and who just wants to be near the spotlight. But I kept my circle pretty tight. Don Knotts, for instance, became one of my closest friends in the world, and that friendship never changed, no matter how famous we got.
Did fame bring happiness?
It brought a sense of accomplishment and the ability to provide for my family in ways I never dreamed of. But the real happiness came from the work itself, making a show that families could watch together and feel good about.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
Privacy is the big one. It's hard to go to the grocery store or a restaurant when everyone expects you to be Sheriff Taylor all the time. I'm a private person by nature, so that was always a bit of a struggle.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
A lot of folks thought I was exactly like Andy Taylor. Always calm, always patient, always wise. In reality, I could be quite demanding on set because I wanted the show to be perfect. I had a bit of a temper sometimes when things weren't going right.
What was your darkest moment?
In the early 1980s, I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. It paralyzed me from the knees down for a while. I had to learn how to walk all over again. It was a very scary time, not knowing if I'd ever work or even move properly again.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
People often didn't realize how much of a hand I had in the creative side of my shows. I wasn't just the actor. I was involved in the writing, the casting, and the overall tone. I took the responsibility of being a producer very seriously.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
During the first season of the Andy Griffith show, I was trying to be the funny one, and it just wasn't working. It felt forced. I realized that the show worked much better if I was the quote-unquote straight man and let the colorful characters around me, like Barney Fife, be the funny ones. I had to swallow my ego and change my whole approach, and it made the show a classic.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It gave me the freedom to live where I wanted, which was back home in North Carolina on Manteo, and to pursue projects I loved, like my gospel music. But at my core, I was still the same fellow who liked a good biscuit and a quiet afternoon.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
Besides my parents, it was Don Knotts. Professionally and personally, he taught me so much about timing, comedy, and friendship. We had a bond that was truly one of a kind.
What was life like in your final years?
I lived a very peaceful life on Roanoke Island in North Carolina. I spent time with my wife, Cindy, enjoyed the water, and kept recording music. I was very involved in my community there.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was still very active with my music. I released several gospel albums later in life that I was extremely proud of. I even won a Grammy for one of them.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on July 3rd, 2012, at my home in Manteo, North Carolina.
What happened?
I had been dealing with some heart issues, and I ultimately passed from a heart attack.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was actually a very good singer of serious music. Before the monologues and the acting, I spent years training my voice. Most people only heard me sing folk songs or hymns on TV, but I had quite a range.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Oh, there were always rumors that I didn't get along with the cast or that I was a, quote, tyrant on set. While I was definitely a perfectionist, I love those people like family. We just worked hard.
What was your most unique habit?
I was known for carrying around a pocket knife and whittling. It helped me think and kept my hands busy during breaks on set.
What was your favorite food?
You can't beat a good North Carolina barbecue or some fried chicken with mashed potatoes and gravy. Real comfort food.
Did you have a favorite restaurant?
I loved any small local diner where the coffee was hot and the folks were friendly. Nothing beats a home-cooked meal at a local spot.
What was your favorite book?
I enjoyed books about history and biographies. I was always curious about how other people navigated their lives.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Not really. The industry can be competitive, but I generally tried to stay out of the fray. I was more focused on my own work and my own backyard.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
Before I was famous, I used to do a lot of community theater in the Outer Banks, specifically a play called The Lost Colony. I played Sir Walter Raleigh. It was those summer nights under the stars that really made me fall in love with the magic of performing for an audience.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Anytime Don Knotts and I were together, it was a riot. We would sometimes get into giggle fits during a scene where one of us would just catch the other's eye and we couldn't stop laughing. We'd have to shut down production for 10 minutes just to compose ourselves.
Did you ever prank someone?
Oh, I like to tease. I'd sometimes hide props or change a line slightly just to see if the other actor could keep a straight face. It kept things lively.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I wasn't a very flashy spender, but I did love my boats. Having a nice boat to go out on the Sound in North Carolina was my greatest luxury.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be true to yourself. Don't try to be something you aren't just because you think that's what people want. And work hard. There's no substitute for doing the work and being prepared when opportunity knocks.
Andy, this has been such a joy. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Well, I just want to say thank you for letting me reminisce a bit. It's been wonderful to visit with y'all. I hope folks remember that at the end of the day, it's the kindness we show each other and the stories we share that really matter. Thank you for having me, Calvin. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Andy. That was incredible. From teaching music in Goldsboro to creating the most iconic town in TV history, what a journey. We learned about his love for the Outer Banks, his secret giggle fits with Don Knotts, and the fact that he was almost an opera singer. Thank you again to the wonderful Andy Griffith for coming on the show. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.